You're listening to iFan Sports Talk Radio. And now, live from Studio 215 in Low Country, South Carolina. Welcome to the Live in 5 show with your host, Nikki Fu.
Welcome everybody to Live in 5 show, episode 33. The college football playoffs is all set. Yes, I said the college playoffs are all set.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs?
Thank you, Jim Mora. A little reminisce on that. So, if your team made it in, congratulations. If your team was left out, I am sorry. Before I left last night off the air, I went ahead and did my top 6, and this is before the final rankings came out, and I did get the 6 right, and except for 3 and 4, I had Notre Dame at 4 and Oklahoma at 3. So let me go over my top 6 and just talk about each team. I'm actually going to just talk about the top, 3 through 6. 1 and 2, you really don't have to talk much about these two teams, Clemson and Alabama. Alabama 1, Clemson 2. Well-deserving. Finished off 13-0, won their conference titles. Tremendous strength of schedule for both schools. And no complaints from any side that these two teams shouldn't be 1 and 2. As for number 6, I had Ohio State. I saw after the Big 12 championship game last night, Urban Meyer petitioning for his team to get into the college playoff. Their notable wins were Penn State, Michigan, and Northwestern. Of course, they had that awful loss to Purdue midway through the season, 49-20, and they almost lost to Maryland, which is not that great of a team. If it wasn't for a failed 2-point conversion by Maryland, this Ohio State wouldn't even been in the discussion today, but they squeaked that one out. Ohio State finishes at 12-1. They finished 6th in my rankings. They also finished 6th in the voters' rankings too. Number 5, there's a lot of debate about number 5, whether they should be in it or not, and that's the Georgia Bulldogs. I also had it at number 5 along with the committee. They lost to LSU at LSU by 20. And they lost, of course, to Alabama yesterday in the SEC championship game. It sort of sucks for them that they had to lose to the number 1 team to get knocked out. I think anybody else that would have played Alabama yesterday would have probably lost also. So it sucks for Georgia. They really didn't have a great strength of schedule. I looked at their schedule, and really only 2 notable wins they really had were Kentucky and Florida, which were not that great. They beat South Carolina, which is a bowl team too, but they barely finished over 500 also. So Georgia really didn't have a really marquee win this year. So I think that's what really swayed the voting committee today. And Georgia out number 5. I had it number 4, but Notre Dame. And the reason I had Notre Dame is because I don't think they're the top 3 team. I think Oklahoma's a lot better than they are. They did have some notable wins with Michigan, Stanford, Syracuse, and Northwestern, but not like powerhouse teams, but they had good seasons. Michigan had a good little run there for a little while until they bumped into Ohio State. And they're getting in because they're Notre Dame. It's a nationwide university, and the fans travel well, and they're deserving in the playoffs, but I still had them at number 4. Oklahoma I had at number 3, and of course the committee had Notre Dame at number 3. And Oklahoma's 2 marquee wins were West Virginia and avenging their only loss of the season to Texas. And I think that's what, helped the voters sort of decide that Oklahoma should have got in, because they did avenge the only loss they had, and that was beating Texas. So they came back yesterday in the Big 12 championship game, a strong second half, and took care of business. And, of course, number 2 and number 1, Clemson number 2, manhandled Pitt last night 42-10. And Alabama, with a great comeback by Jalen Hurts in the last 10 minutes of the game, to overtake Georgia. They both finished 13-0. So Alabama will be facing Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl, and Clemson will be facing the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in the Cotton Bowl. And Clemson should be, breathing a sort of sigh of relief. There was rumors that if Oklahoma got in, that Oklahoma would be facing Clemson in the Cotton Bowl, which would make that virtually almost a home game for Oklahoma. And I know Notre Dame fans travel well, but so do Clemson fans. So I think that's going to be a 50-50 split when you see the fans over in Jerry World over there. And then, of course, in the Orange Bowl, you're going to have Alabama and Oklahoma. And like I said, Oklahoma fans travel very well, and they will be out in full force in South Beach along with the Crimson Tide faithful. So that was my top 6. And tell me your thoughts of what you thought your top 6 were by just messaging us at Twitter. You can find us on Twitter at iFanTalk. Or you can also search us on our Facebook page by searching hashtag iFanTalk. And leave a message, and I'll respond to you with either direct message or in our next show. So now the debate comes about whether there should be expansion in college playoffs. And I sort of had a little fun last night with this, and I was thinking if I was a commissioner and I had a chance to do a new playoff format, how would I do it? So, of course, the conferences in college football line up as a Power 5, but I would make that a Power 6, including the American Athletic Conference, the AAC, into that mix as the Power 6. Then you would give the 6 playoff spots to the 6 conference champions, not who wins the regular season championship, but who wins the championship game. And then I would throw in 2 wild cards, which would that would mean 8 playoff teams. So a little question I had though is, Notre Dame's not in a conference; they're in the ACC, but they're not officially in the ACC football conference, so they would technically be a wild card every time they got into the playoffs. And where would they be seeded? But I would have the 6 conference champions as the top 6 seeds. So here would be my top 6 seeds if it lined up today. If we had the playoff format like I'm showing you right now. Number 1 seed would be the Alabama, winning the SEC. My number 2 seed would be Clemson, winning the ACC. Number 3 seed would be Ohio State, winning the Big Ten. And then you would have the Oklahoma Sooners at number 4, winning the Big 12. And then at number 5, it would be the American Athletic Conference champions and undefeated Central Florida Knights. They have won 25 in a row. Congratulations to that program. What a great run that has been. So I would have Central Florida in the number 5. And then I would have the Washington Huskies, the Pac-12 champion, as the number 6 seed, as the Power 6 top 6 seeds. And then my 2 wild cards, of course, would be the Georgia Bulldogs at number 7, and then the Notre Dame Fighting Irish at number 8. Now, I know there could be up there for debate that why would Notre Dame be an 8 because they're a wild card and they do not have a chance to play in a conference championship game. So, yes, you could, move a wild card above a conference champion if the voters voted to do that also. But, hey, it's Notre Dame's choice not to be in a football conference. So, this is how I would have it. So that would line up the first 4 playoff games as Notre Dame versus Alabama, Georgia versus Clemson, Washington versus Ohio State, and Central Florida against Oklahoma. And and I would do the playoff format as the top seed playing the lowest remaining seed in the second round. So thank you for joining me, and congratulations again to Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, and Notre Dame for making the College Bowl championship. It's going to be interesting playoff, I believe, and you'll probably see another rematch between the Crimson Tide and the Tigers. So tell me your thoughts. Message us, like I said, on our Twitter page at iFanTalk. And I want to thank everybody for joining us. Enjoy watching these second games of the day with New England facing Minnesota. And you have a great one tonight with the Chargers at Pittsburgh. And this is your host, Nikki Fu. I want to thank you all for joining us there at iFanTalk Sports Radio. I am signing out, and I will see all you folks down the road.